These young people have lived through domestic abuse.
The characters may be cartoon, but the voices are real and the experiences are real.
Domestic abuse is any type of controlling, threatening or intimidating behaviour between people in a relationship. Domestic abuse might happen to anyone. Men and women can be abused or be an abuser. It can affect people of all ages. It is difficult to spot domestic abuse because it is often hidden. There are many forms abuse might take, like emotional, psychological, sexual, financial and physical abuse. However, as these young people say, all of them are just abuse. If you're suffering, that's it. How do we make sure everyone knows about domestic abuse?
I don't think people really know what it's all about.
Or actually know what it's like.
People are scared of the subject.
You only hear about the real bad stuff, like deaths.
People have their idea of domestic violence, of beating someone up, whereas there's a lot more to it than that.
It's just anything, it's not just one's worse than the other, like someone punching you in the face is worse than someone taking your money off you. It's not, it's exactly the same. It makes you feel like you're nothing, it's exactly the same.
This type of abuse and this type of abuse, and I think that's wrong, it's just abuse. It just paints this picture that it's like a hierarchy almost. It's like this one's worse than this one. It's wrong.
It's just abuse. If you're suffering, that's it.
Sometimes victims are viewed as if they're weak.
As needing looking after.
You get stamped as a liar, so it was my fault that he treated me like he did, and so it made me feel worse then, and then I just didn't say anything.
Victims in the media are viewed as merely entertainment. They're used as a catalyst for entertaining people. At the end of the day, people like drama. It's almost romanticised in our society. Someone crouching in the corner with some deep quote on it. It's not the case at all. It's not pretty, it's not deep.
Some people don't know where to turn to.
You need to pinpoint where the help is.
Speak to people, find out what they expect.
Get people more involved and talking about it.
It needs to be spoken about more, but in a more realistic way. It's all well and good on an advert with a scenario. When you're in these situations in real life, it's not the same. You can see it's wrong, but can't relate to it almost. Enough to phone the number and expect the same result. Focus more on the feelings, the aftermath, not so much the scenario.
There needs to be some kind of outlined description of what a normal relationship should be like.
They didn't talk about real life in school. They don't talk about life situations.
They teach you that you have to be respected as a person. It's more like how people should treat you, but they should teach you how to treat other people as well.
What did you think about and consider before you got help?
I think everyone has that idea of like a perfect first love. It never happens like that. They try and teach you, but you're not going to listen. If you're in love with someone, it's different. And that's what's sad, I think, about it, is if you're in love with someone, you're going to let them do a bad relationship, you're going to let them do whatever they want.
I think it's attachment. It makes people stay and go back to situations.
If they're like, oh, leave him, that's what you've got to do and everything, then obviously they're not really understanding you, are they? Because you can't do that, can you?
The adults you're living with are your role models, aren't they?
You can feel like you're trapped.
I think that scares people as well. People don't say what's going to happen afterwards. Obviously there's no guarantee that it's going to be amazing and fixed, but the fact that they don't tell you about the process doesn't fill you with belief, really. Sometimes it's not possible at all to make a phone call or walk into a building. Online services give you the option. You can go through this, or we can do it for you.
I think with abuse, they watch you so closely that anything that can be traced, like an app or online history or anything like that, is a real red flag. It shouldn't. I think that's really scary for me. That would have frightened me, because he was going to find it.
What do you need to happen when you experience domestic abuse?
You need protection from the abuser.
They've got your number. There should always be a way you can block it properly.
You can't just send the police in there or social services. It'll just... I think that's what ends up being more dangerous than anything else. I think that's the risk. They don't know how to handle a situation. Like they always say, the woman's got to say that something happened, but when he's standing behind you, you're not going to do it.
You need to establish what's wrong. Ask questions, because you don't know where it's been happening.
But don't give the perpetrators and families time to get their stories together. Just go there.
You've got to think whether this is happening or not. This person is scared and we need to remove them.
You've got to get in there and do something about it.
If it's a family thing, the victim needs to be moved. If it's people in a relationship, then the perpetrator should be moved, because I don't see why the victim should have to fight to find somewhere to live when they've done nothing wrong.
The police were absolutely fantastic. And he was in the back of the police car, he wasn't allowed anywhere near me. They were absolutely fantastic.
I expected it to run smoother. You see the adverts and they say, call this line and we'll help you. You get a lot of promises that aren't kept. I was passed around so much because no one knew what they were doing.
I'm not just a number on a piece of paper just to get a paycheck at the end of the month. You don't feel like you actually matter.
Respect people more that come forward. They started to respect what we're saying.
I appreciate honesty. As much as I want support, I appreciate being to the point. As much as I've got problems, I'm still accountable for some things that I'm feeling, and I do need constructive criticism. They're too soft. It would have helped me in the long run.
I just think they need to stop treating us like we're victims all the time.
I just feel like these people didn't understand me. They emphasised weakness too much. They didn't emphasise solutions as such.
It's about wanting to help them. You need to care. Support needs to be consistent.
I did have a lot of different workers and there were lots of changes, but I did get used to a new person.
I think services being there to support is the best thing.
Yeah, fund the support that actually helps. It shouldn't be that you've got to fight for what you need. If you want to report it, make sure you listen to it. No one really heard me and they didn't want to listen to the situation.
You want to get your story out and get it straight and it's right.
When I was being listened to, it was reassuring that I was doing the right thing. I had hope finally. It's almost like relief. Like all this could be over. It could just be sorted. The fear could go. It's almost like a weight lifted. Too often you don't know what's going on.
There should be more emphasis on the person. They should get what they want.
Even in situations where you have to disclose there's a risk, they should ask the young person who would be safest to tell. Ask the person, there are these options available, would you even like any of them?
People gave me options.
It was just scary, I think, being on your own, and it was just horrendous, really. Horrendously dealt with. I think if I'd have been more vulnerable, I would have been in absolute pieces. I wouldn't have anywhere to go. I'd have been in a much worse situation than I was.
If a child does talk to somebody, then make meetings on a regular basis. Not 1 or 2 meetings, because that's not going to help. Have someone for the child to talk to who they can trust. Have separate meetings and meetings together as well.
Yeah, support services should link into the situation.
There's not enough of them being charged.
They should be charged.
They should be made to talk to somebody.
Maybe they should get help.
They could have some issues, some insecurities. When you're insecure, you do lash out, especially at your loved ones. They could be acting like that because of things they've experienced.
I think when a man's got it in him, he's not going to change. I think. I can't talk about a woman I don't know.
It's not excusable, no matter what the reason is.
You've got to realise that you're unhappy. I got to the point where I couldn't cope. I just literally couldn't cope with life, so I woke up and was like, I'm going to go and get help today.
Are you comfortable with being on your own and happy?
If I know there is a negative person, I don't mix with them.
I think people have got to go and find help for themselves, which sounds awful, but...
To make a choice, it has to be for good and positive reasons. To move on from it, you have to go with the best choice to overcome the situation and stick with it and be strong.
I made a decision and I came through it.
Strength, it's a process, it just clicks one day.
It is hard choices. In the end, you've got to make the right decisions. You've got to go with it.
Thanks for watching this.
Remember, domestic abuse is wrong. If you are being abused, it's not your fault.
Stop hiding away. If you've had it happen to you, it's not embarrassing. It happens all the time. More people than they think have had it happen to them.
If you're in trouble, there is help out there. There's lots of places that you can get help and support.